When it comes to meeting the Queen of England, there are certain rules everyone must follow, but sometimes it can be hard to remember all the rules, especially if you're not from the Queen's country. Stay tuned to see which celebrities and diplomats have accidentally disrespected Queen Elizabeth. Before we jump into it, don't forget to subscribe to the Taco for more videos about the royal family. Now, let's take a look at 10 times Queen Elizabeth was disrespected in public. Meghan Markle. She may be considered a royal now that she's married into the family, but that doesn't mean Meghan Markle always gets it right. The American-born royal duchess still has a few rules to learn if she wants to stay in the Queen's good graces. Back in the summer of 2018, Meghan had British critics gasping when she disrespected the Queen. And what was the horrible offense? Apparently, it was the way the new royal family member was sitting. Did you know that simply sitting with your legs crossed when in the presence of the Queen is a no-no? Well, don't feel too bad because it seems like it slipped Meghan Markle's mind as well. The mishap took place at the Queen's Young Leaders event at Buckingham Palace. A snapshot of the offense proved that the American actress committed the atrocity. Okay, we know it's probably not a huge deal to cross your legs in public, but sadly, now that she is a royal, she's going to have to mind her P's and Q's. Hopefully, the Queen gave her a pass considering she's new to the fam. Let this serve as a warning to Meghan in the future. Never cross your legs in the presence of your new grandmother-in-law. Donald Trump. It seems like there isn't a day that goes by that President Trump isn't making a headline or two, and most of the time it's because he's offended some national leader or celebrity. So of course, when he visited the UK in the summer of 2018, news outlets watched Trump's every move. In true Trump fashion, he did not disappoint. That is, of course, if you're not Queen of England. According to British news outlets, the President of the United States committed several offenses when he visited their Royal Highness. What could Trump do to stir up such a ruckus? For starters, he kept the Queen waiting for their scheduled tea time. In fact, the president was 10 minutes late. And as we all know, you should never keep the Queen waiting. Not only was he not on time, the president also went as far as to walk in front of the Queen. It's actually considered very rude to turn your back on any member of the British royal family, which makes this another royal faux pas. We can't imagine the Queen was surprised by this behavior, and it seems like she took it all in good stride. A Chinese restaurant. We know what you're thinking. What on earth could a Chinese restaurant do to disrespect the Queen? Well, hold your horses because you're about to drop your jaw when you hear this royal offense. Okay, maybe it's not actually that bad, but it was still enough to cause headlines throughout the UK. Like the United States, there are several placards around the United Kingdom that deem certain areas national landmarks. And one of the most famous of them all is the birthplace of the Queen. You would think such a momentous area would have droves of royal fans gathering to take a peek, but this is where you would be wrong. Instead, the national landmark has become a smoking area for a nearby Chinese restaurant. In fact, the restaurant went as far as to move their cigarette bin and space heater on the wrong side of the protective barrier. Can you believe it? Commoners that close to the Queen's birthplace and not giving it the respect it deserves, but also going so far as to smoke around it. Hopefully, the restaurant has cleaned up its act. Anna Wintour. When it comes to fashion, the Queen has always had her own taste, but that doesn't keep designers from inviting her to the most swanky of runway shows. In early 2018, the Queen made her London Fashion Week debut, and who better to greet her other than the Queen of Fashion, Anna Wintour. If you aren't sure who Anna Wintour is, she's the editor-in-chief for Vogue. Oh, and if you've ever seen The Devil Wears Prada, it's rumored that Miranda Priestley's character was based on Wintour. So you can imagine she's a force to be reckoned with, even when she meets the Queen of England. The problem is, Wintour didn't give Her Royal Highness the respect she deserved upon their meeting. According to experts, the Vogue editor-in-chief committed 3 blunders during her introduction. First, she didn't curtsy, which isn't a rule, but is expected when meeting a royal. Secondly, she didn't wait for the Queen to initiate the interactions. Finally, and probably worst of all, Wintour didn't take off her sunglasses as a sign of respect. The icing on the cake is that Anna Wintour is actually a dame, which is the equivalent of having a knighthood. So it should be noted that she should know better. Lewis Hamilton. When you're a British citizen in the spotlight, one of the biggest accomplishments you can get is being invited to dine with Queen Elizabeth. And when this happens, it's probably a good idea to brush up on your royal etiquette. Sadly, it seems like Formula One racer Lewis Hamilton didn't get the memo. The famous racer was invited to lunch with the Queen and didn't know he was going to get an education in proper etiquette. It can be hard to remember all the rules you're supposed to follow when meeting the Queen, so we are sure she let his little mishap slide. Hamilton was on a popular late-night show when he told the story of when he met Her Royal Highness. He was really nervous at the lunch, and even more so because he sat right next to the Queen herself. According to Hamilton, he sat to the left of Her Majesty. Anyone who knows anything about royal etiquette knows that the Queen starts conversation during the first course of the meal, but she only does so with the person to the right of her. So when Hamilton tried chatting her up during the first course, she had a few words for him. The Queen of England told Hamilton that she was going to chat with the person to her right, and he should chat with the person to his left, and they could talk during the second course. Rookie mistake, Hamilton. Cruachan IV. We can admit most of the offenses on this list are a little silly. Who has the time to remember all these rules? And considering she's been the Queen of England for decades upon decades, we are sure Queen Elizabeth doesn't take it personally. But when it comes to Cruachan IV's numerous offenses, it seems like the Queen may have made an interesting frenemy. It's common knowledge that the Queen has a soft spot for animals, mostly her corgis and prize-winning ponies. But there is one Shetland pony that is making it quite difficult for the Queen to show her love. In 2017, Cruachan IV and the Queen had a brief run-in when he tried to eat her bouquet of posies. She tried to shoo him by saying, "Go away." We are sure this was a funny sight to see. Then the following summer, the pony took it a step further. The Queen was greeted by Cruachan IV, and let's just say his greeting was a little less than stellar. In fact, he relieved himself right in front of the Queen. Of course, she wasn't surprised by his behavior. Apparently, he's known for not being impressed by royalty. Just a few months earlier, he tried to bite her grandson, Prince Harry. Robbie Williams. If you aren't from the UK, you may not be sure who Robbie Williams is. Let's just say he's the 90s version of Justin Bieber. The guy was a huge pop star, and there's a good chance you've heard his song Angels. It was a pretty huge song in 1997, especially in the UK. It's actually credited for reviving his then lackluster career. Now, over 2 decades later, the crooner is still in the headlines, mostly for his questionable behavior. That's why he finds himself on this list. Not only did Robbie disrespect the Queen on a very important day, he disrespected the whole royal family. It all comes down to a little bit of chewing gum. That's right, there is a rule that you shouldn't chew gum when you're in the presence of anyone in the royal family. That means you really shouldn't chew gum at a royal family wedding. But that didn't stop Robbie Williams from chomping away at Princess Eugenie's wedding. We can't blame the British press for criticizing the singer. Chewing gum at weddings seems a little rude, even if you're not a member of the royal family. We are pretty sure Robbie Williams should have known better. Susan Sarandon. Even Hollywood superstars like Susan Sarandon get starstruck, which must be the reason she threw caution to the wind when she met Queen Elizabeth. That could be the only explanation as to why she thought she could just mosey on up to the Queen of England. To be fair, Susan Sarandon can probably get away with just about anything, even if it means offending the Queen. While at a Royal Windsor Cup polo match, the actress couldn't wait to meet the Queen. She took it upon herself to stroll right up to her and introduce herself. The problem with this, according to royal etiquette guidelines, people should wait to be formally announced to the Queen before meeting her. They must also wait until the Queen initiates the handshake. Thankfully, when looking at pictures of the interaction, it seems the Queen was just as tickled as Sarandon during the interaction. That didn't stop tabloids from snapping photos and making headlines of the mishap. Given that Susan Sarandon is one to go against the norm, we are pretty sure she didn't even bat an eye at her British critics. Rihanna. You don't actually have to be in the presence of the Queen to disrespect her, and no one knows that more than Rihanna. What could the sultry songstress do to diss the Queen? Well, it all comes down to her Instagram feed. If you are one of Rihanna's millions of followers, you probably already know what we're talking about. Back in 2017, the singer posted a few photos of the Queen of England, and let's just say they were a little risky. Just take a look for yourself. The issue here is that the photos show the Queen's face photoshopped onto photos of Rihanna's body. While this might seem hilarious to many, it was deemed disrespectful by many of Riri's fans. What makes it even worse is that the photos were released on the Queen's actual birthday. We are pretty sure they were a present that no one had ever asked for. As soon as the snaps dropped on Riri's Instagram, fans were quick to call her out. Even her own mother wasn't happy with the singer's disrespectful posts. In response to her mom, Rihanna edited one of the photos to add Gucci Mane lyrics. We are pretty sure neither her mom nor the Queen were amused. The Obamas. It's not often that you hear the words leader of the free world and cool used in the same sentence. But when it comes to the Obama family, it's hard to deny they were pretty smooth. Of course, that doesn't mean they got it right all of the time. One of the biggest offenses to come from Obama's time as president came when he and his wife met the Queen. All was going well until Michelle Obama broke a major rule. She hugged the Queen. This is a huge no-no. You don't just go up and squeeze the Queen of England. We can give Obama a little bit of slack though. It wasn't a whole hug, it was a side embrace while posing for for a photo. Even then, it was enough to spark major headlines. That wasn't the last time an Obama made a royal blunder. A few years later, Barack Obama was toasting the Queen, but during his speech the British national anthem started playing. Usually this would mean the speaker should stop speaking, but Obama didn't get the memo. He continued with his toast and even raised his glass to the Queen, all while the anthem was still playing. The Queen did her best to appreciate the toast while not disrespecting the fact that the national anthem was playing. But all in all, it was one uncomfortable and confusing mess.